Hi guys, let's have a talk. This weekend we'll have our usual quote of economy, politics, and banking. Let's get on with the business. Which country is the 30th and the latest member of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization? See, NATO, I'm giving notes on NATO, what it is. Related to that will be the Cold War. So, a bit here and there we'll discuss. So, North Macedonia, this is North Macedonia. Just above Greece, you would find North Macedonia. This is Greece, this is Macedonia, but now it's called North Macedonia because when it called itself Macedonia, Greece did not like it. They protested that this country change its name. Why? Because there is a province in Greece called Macedonia, same place, almost North Greece. So there will be a lot of confusion, and moreover they said that we have a claim over this name. But then referendum happened, and in the interest of bilateral relations, Macedonia changed its name to North Macedonia. Though a lot of Greeks were not happy, they still felt this was better than no change at all. So what's the NATO about? And before we discuss, look at the choices: Cyprus, Sweden, Russia, Malta. Yeah, you see this is Malta. It's a very tiny country. It's in the Mediterranean. You have Cyprus, okay, and this is of course Russia, Sweden. So I would want you to write a bit of notes on NATO. This would help you know a little about what kind of world we have come from. Okay, I mean, this was the reality when most of you were little kids. So this was there. NATO, Cold War, all these were realities. So please write Cold War. Oh, sorry, NATO, 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 NATO. Underline that. Take the full form. First point. North Atlantic Treaty Organization. North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Treaty Organization. Second point. Established 1949. Established 1949. Third point. Head office. Brussels. 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 Next point. Secretary General. Jens Stoltenberg. Jens. Jens Stoltenberg. 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 In brackets, Norway. He's from Norway. Next. Military alliance. So what is NATO? Right. Military alliance. ALLIANCE. Alliance is grouping. A grouping of like-minded people. Alliance. Friendship, you could say. A grouping of friends. A military alliance to provide security. To member states against against the USSR. Take the full form in brackets. Union of Soviet, SOVIET, Soviet Socialist republics works, next point, works on the principle of works, WORKS, works on the principle of one for all, and all for one. So if any member is attacked by enemy nations, then all the countries have to come together to help. If all the rest of the countries get attacked, one of the countries which is not attacked has to come to the help. So it's basically one for all for one. Leave a nice space. This alliance was or rather played great this alliance played a great role during the Cold War. Next point. The Cold War was a serious political, political, ideological, ideological and military conflict between the democratic world led by the USA and the communist world led by the USSR, also called Soviet Union. Next, the Cold War was more a war of nerves, NERVES, war of nerves, than a full-scale conflict. Next. In fact, the US and the USSR never directly fought against each other. Full stop. They always engaged in proxy war, PROXY, proxy war dash like in the Korean War of 1950 to 53. In the Korean War of 1950 to 53, and one more, and the Afghan War the Afghan war between 1979 and 1989. So these guys never came because they had nuclear bombs. They had nuclear bombs. They had thousands of nuclear bombs, and there was always this fear that one of those countries would use, the other country would use nuclear bombs against this country. So there was this Cold War. I mean, hot war is where there are bullets, fire, weapons are used, everything. That's a hot war. एक जो सामान्य युद्ध होता है उसको हॉट वॉर कहते हैं. ओके, बंदूकें चलती हैं, गोलियां चलती हैं, बम फूटते हैं, वो सब. बट when it comes to Cold War, it's all a war of tension, a war of nerves. This might happen, that might happen, that kind of, that kind of war. So there are always tools to be used in this kind of war. What are the two most important tools that were used? No bombs. Nuclear bombs were with both of them. Yeah. But the tools to keep an eye on each other, one technology, the other was espionage, jasusi, gudachari. Yeah, what to say, intelligence gathering. So last point, the two main tools, the two most important weapons, you was right. The two most important weapons used were technology and espionage. espionage, espionage. In brackets, if you don't know what is espionage, spying, 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 or jasusi. If you watch all these James Bond films before 1991, that came before 91, all the wars, all the movies were based on the Cold War. All. Okay? That the Russians would explode a nuclear bomb and all that stuff. Okay? So you had those kinds of, films. But then after that, you would not find James Bond films engaging in Cold Wars. So one last thing, maybe I think we are running short on time on this question. We'll do one thing. If we have time in the end, the maximum duration of the session should be 70 minutes. Okay. So if we have time, we'll come back to this. 10 minutes is the one that I think we spent 10 minutes on this, which is fairly good. I'll come back to this if there is any time on this. Okay. But last point, you were right. The Cold War ended. The Cold War ended with the disintegration, disintegration or breakup, disintegration of the USSR in 1991. Last one. Okay, I think we will come back to this if there is any time. I'll take you back, bring you back if there is any time. Otherwise, in one of those other sessions, we'll discuss this. Okay. I think this should be fine. Yeah. Next, find the incorrect statement about National Housing Bank, NHB, it's otherwise called. This was set up in 1987, of course, with headquarters in New Delhi. When it was started, it was a wholly owned subsidiary of the RBI. Now it no longer is. In fact, it is no longer an RBI subsidiary. But what else does it do? If you read these statements, you get get a lot of information about what the NHB does, and that's very important to us. It registers, regulates, supervises housing finance companies. It's a MIBOP of housing finance companies. Now, apart from which, of course, you have this. It also refinances loans. say a housing finance company has given a loan, so it would actually give, refinance another loan basically under certain schemes only, not all schemes. Okay, so who is the chairman of the NHP? You could write this. Chairman. See, the other information is already here. Where is the head office, when it was started, what does it do? So the chairman's name is not present. Right. Chairman of NHB. Chairman of NHB. Sharda Kumar Hota. Sharda. S-A-R-D-A. Sharda Kumar Hota. H-O-T-A. Hota. Sharda Kumar Hota. Next, India will contribute about 10 million US dollars to the UN Relief and Works Agency for Palestinian refugees in the Near East in the next 2 years. This is based in Amman. Amman is in Jordan. Okay, this is Israel, my friends. I think we have had a very long discussion on Israel-Palestine. I think an hour discussion on that. I'm not going to bring that back because anyway we don't have the time for it. But ye hai Israel. So this is Israel, okay, and Palestine comprises these two parts, West Bank and Gaza. You could write Palestine comprises West Bank and Gaza, G-A-Z-A, Gaza. This is a very tiny country. In fact, West Bank's about 5,500 square kilometers. 5,500 square kilometers. Gaza is about 365 square kilometers. Israel is about 20,770 square kilometers. 20,770. So this area, Golan Heights, was occupied by Israel in the 1967 war, where Syria, this area, Golan Heights, belongs to Syria, but Syria lost this. It's still under Israeli occupation, 1967. Okay, so before I discuss the leaders of these countries, I just want you to see this is how this is the minor, the inset map, or we say the local map. But you see this now. This is Jordan, capital Amman. This is Israel, yeah. This is West Bank. This is Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, Egypt. Okay, so I want you to write Lebanon. See, the capitals are mentioned. Capitals of the countries are mentioned. Lebanon's capital is Beirut. So I'll give you the name of the leader of each of these countries. Okay, right. Lebanon dash Prime Minister Hassan Diab. Hassan, H-A-S-S-A-N. Hassan Diab, D-I-A-B. Hassan Diab. Hassan Diab, D-I-A-B. Next, what's the currency of Lebanon? Pound, P-O-U-N-D, pound. Currency of Lebanon is pound, P-O-U-N-D, pound. Next, Iraq. Iraq's capital is Baghdad. The Prime Minister is Mustafa Al-Kadhimi. Mustafa, M-U-S-T-A-F-A, Mustafa Al hyphen Kadhimi, K-A-D-H-I-M-I, Mustafa Al-Kadhimi. Next, currency is dinar, D-I-N-A-R, dinar. Jordan is a constitutional monarchy, and the Raja here is King Abdullah the second, Roman numeral 2. King Abdullah the second is a pro-West guy. Okay, the currency is dinar, D-I-N-A-R, dinar. Next, Iran's capital is Tehran. The leader is see, in the last class we took the name of the president Hassan Rouhani. In this class we will take the name of the spiritual leader. Okay, the my Bab of Iran. Write his name, Ayatollah Khamenei. Ayatollah, I'll write. It's difficult for me to sometimes spell certain kinds of words. Ayatollah, T O L L A H, Ayatollah Khamenei, K H A M E N E I, Khamenei, Ayatollah, Ayatollah Khamenei, Khamenei. You could write spiritual, supreme leader of Iran. That's a title actually. Supreme leader of Iran. Iran is a Shia Muslim country. It's a predominant, in fact, what 90% of the country's population is Shia, and Muslim population is 90% of Muslim population is Shia, and it's a big rival of Saudi Arabia, which is a Sunni country. Yeah, Pakistan also, which is a Sunni country. So, currency of Iran is Rial, R-I-A-L, R-I-A-L, Rial. Next, Egypt. ये है Egypt, ये देखिए. This is Egypt. Sometimes the cursor goes missing. This is Egypt. This is a Sinai Peninsula. Okay, this is Egypt, and the capital is mentioned anywhere. The president is Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. Abdel, A-B-D-E-L. A-B-D-E-L. Abdel Fattah, F-A-T-E-H. Fattah, F-A-T-E-H. Abdel Fattah L-C-C. E-L-L-C-C. S-I-S-I. Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. Currency is pound, Egyptian pound. All these, Lebanon, all these were Syria, ruled by Britain in the past. Okay. In fact, this area was called Transjordan. Anyway, just tell you, this is where India is, and this is the Red Sea. It's called Red Sea because of the presence of an algae which gives the color red. That's why Red Sea. Now you see, this is basically land, isn't it? Mediterranean Sea, Europe. So the Europeans found it very tough to go around the whole of Africa, on their way to the Eastern African colonies, to Asian colonies. I'm talking of the 17th, 18th, 19th centuries, 20th century, so 19th century. So, and it would take a lot of time for raw materials to move, for finished goods to move, for navy, army to move, and this could cost them a lot. So what they thought, what the British actually did was this: they had Egypt under control, so they dug a canal here. They cut, a canal into the land and connected the Red Sea with the Mediterranean Sea. This canal is called Suez Canal, S-U-E-Z, created by the British between 1867 to 69. This cut short the route to Europe for European powers. This accelerated the pace of colonization and exploitation. So, next. Which of the following is the world's biggest economy by GDP at the end of 2019? USA, China, Japan, Germany, India. US is the answer. The five that are mentioned here are in the same order. But before we discuss the definition of GDP, we should take the figures of the total actual amount of GDP for these countries. Okay? Please write. World's five biggest economies. World's five biggest economies by GDP. World's five biggest economies by GDP. Underline that. So you write this in rank, country, GDP in dollar, trillion, in billion, dollar, billion, or no, trillion लिखते हैं. So rank, first column rank, second column country, third column GDP in trillion dollars, trillion dollars. 1 trillion equals 1,000 billion. So please write now. Underline each column title. हर column title को हमेशा underline करना चाहिए. Okay? So underline rank. Below that 1 US 21.43 trillion dollars. 21.43, which means 21,430 billion dollars, because we said 1 trillion equals 1,000 billion. So in effect 21.43 trillion will become 21,430 billion. Next, rank 2, China. Rank 2, China 14.14. 14.14. See, after rank, when you write a rank number 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, dot nahi aana chahiye. There should not be a dot after the rank number. When you put a dot after 2, it becomes a serial number. So rank 1 US, rank 2 China, rank 3 Japan 5.15, 5.15. 4 Germany 3.86, 3.86. Rank 5 India 2.93, 2.93. What do these numbers mean? See, now before that you take now this definition of what is GDP. So to understand the definition you need to know the numbers first. Okay? People say you know the definition, know the numbers. I believe that you know the number, then you know the definition. You will understand it better. Right? GDP, underline that. Gross domestic product, gross domestic product, gross domestic product, underline that. First point or the only point. Total money value of all goods and services, produced, PRODUCED, produced in one country in one year. I repeat, total money value of all goods and services produced in one country in 1 year means in a 12-month period, whatever a country produces in terms of goods and services, everything is given a money value. That money value is called GDP. Let's say this pen, this mouse, this laptop, this shirt, this paper, this glass, my service, everything has a money value. Everything has a money value. The money value of everything is added. Little here, this 5 rupees, 2 rupees, 5, or 1 rupee. All these added. The output you get, the final value you get is called gross domestic product. Gross means total, not gross. Gross kehte hain. Gross means total. Domestic means within the national boundaries of the country. Okay. So this is the sum total of. It's a money value of everything that a country produces in a 12-month period. Take for example US. US produces how much? $21.43 trillion worth of goods and services. Last year, these numbers come from IMF. The numbers that I have given you are from the IMF, International Monetary Fund. Okay, not my numbers. So, America produced goods and services worth $21.43 trillion. $21,430 billion worth of goods and services. In the same time, India produced $2,930 billion worth of goods and services. You got this number? Yeah, that's how it is. So America's economy, if you consider that way, is about 7 times bigger than India's economy. Their economic output in the same period is 7 times more. Okay, if you consider China 14.14, which is nearly 5 times India's output, nearly, not 5 but nearly 5. Think about that. Okay, same time में चाइना की जो national income है or what say GDP is 5 times India's GDP. Okay, so these are the numbers, my friends. These numbers will give you some dope on which is the largest, second, and all that. So if in the newspapers you read that India's economy is, I'll give you two scenarios. One, India's GDP will increase by 5%. Let's say if you read that this year India's GDP will increase by 5%, it means 5% of last year's total amount is the additional GDP we will produce this year. So by the end of 2020, India's GDP will be 2,930 plus 5% of 2,930. Okay, this is a good scenario, but it's likely to contract. That is, our GDP will go down. Economic production will go down. Our economic output will go down. It's likely to go down by 3.2% as said by the World Bank. Take 3%. So India's GDP by the end of this year, according to the World Bank, is 2,930 minus 3% of 2,930. Okay, that's what the number means, nothing else. Okay, चलते हैं. This is nominal GDP. किसी और दिन we will discuss purchasing power parity. Next, which of the following is India's most densely populated union territory? Normally we discuss states, so I brought in a state or question on union territory. So Delhi is Delhi's density of population, which is, how do you get that? You divide total population by total area and you get density of population. Delhi's density is over 11,000 square, 11,000 persons per square kilometers. Over 11,000. You want numbers? You can write this. 11,300 for Delhi. 11,300 for Delhi. Number 2, Chandigarh. We'll write down the top 2. Chandigarh. 9,300. Yeah, 9,300. इसका भी लगभग उतना ही है. 9,300. So when I say 9,300, it's nearer to 9,300. It's about 90 to 50 something. 9,300 is fine. So, which is India's least densely populated state, union territory? Ladakh. Ladakh's density of population is 2.8. How much? 2.8 persons per square kilometers. It's a mountainous, very mountainous area. So, Ladakh, India's least densely populated union territory. Who is the Lieutenant Governor of Ladakh? Radha Krishna Mathur. Radha Krishna Mathur. Delhi's Lieutenant Governor is Anil Baijal. 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 Anil Baijal. Jammu and Kashmir, Girish Chandra Murmu, MURMU, Girish Chandra Murmu. Chaliye. See, Lakshadweep and Chandigarh have administrator, no lieutenant governor. Okay. Next. In which country is the Hambantota port located? Sri Lanka. This is a port that China built China lent money to Sri Lanka. China built the port and Sri Lanka said, paisa nahi hai, we can't repay. So China has taken this port on 99-year lease. 99-year lease. So this is a typical Chinese strategy. Okay. Hanbantota. Sri Lanka's president. Who's Sri Lanka's president? Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Gotabaya. Gotabaya Rajapaksa. 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 Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Next. Bangladesh. Sheikh Hasina Wajid. Sheikh Hasina Wajid. I think it's the second most populous Muslim country in the world. If I'm not wrong, second most populous Muslim country. Bangladesh. Pakistan. You know the Prime Minister. So why don't we take the name of the President? The Prime Minister of Pakistan is Imran Khan. The President is Arif Alvi. Arif Alvi. ALVI. Arif Alvi. Myanmar, in the previous class we took the name. Actually, Myanmar dash capital is, for this we'll take extra information. Myanmar dash Naypyidaw. Naypyidaw. I repeat, Naypyidaw. 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 The president is Win Mint. W-I-N. I repeat, W-I-N. Win Mint. M-Y-I-N-T. M-Y-I-N-T. Win Mint. Currency is Kyat. K-Y-A-T. K-Y-A-T. Kyat. Now, underline the word Myanmar. Pull a down arrow. Write 2 points. Point 1. Point 1. Point 1. State Councillor. State Councillor. C-O-U-N-S-E-L-L-O-R. State Councillor. State Councillor. Dash. State Councillor. Dash. Aung San Suu Kyi. I'll spell. Aung San. A-A-N-G. A-A-N-G. Aung San. S-A-A-N. San. Suu. S-U-U. Suu. Next word, last word. K-Y-I. K-Y-I. When we write K-Y-I, we read it as C-H-I. Chi. Aung San Suu Kyi. She is a Nobel Peace Laureate. Not important. Next, last point. Home to Rohingya crisis. Home to. H-O-M-E. Home to Rohingya crisis. R-O-H-I-N-G-Y-A. Rohingya crisis. Rohingya crisis. Okay. Dash is paid by the union government on gilt. Gilt means gold. Gold-edged securities. एक जमाने में when the government used to issue securities, bonds, edges of which had gold. Okay, that's why gilt-edged, gold-edged. Fair. So gold-edged securities. It's always fixed rate. It's always fixed. Fixed is, see, when I take a loan, let's say I take a loan, a home loan, the banker typically would ask me floating rate or fixed rate. So fixed rate is, let's say the banker says fixed is 9%. For the rest of for the duration of the loan, I would pay 9%, irrespective of the market interest rates. Whereas in floating interest rate, I would pay the current market rate at that time. So at the time of taking the loan, the market rate is, let's say, 8.5%. Okay, I would pay the interest is calculated at 8.5%. Later, let's say 1 year later or 6 months later, the interest rate in the market goes up to 9.1%. So I'll have to pay at 9.1%. But if the interest rate goes down to, let's say, 7.8%, then I pay only 7.8%. So it works both ways. Government doesn't take chances. So it normally pays fixed interest rate. Fixed interest rate. Whom the following won the women's singles title at the 2020 Australian Open? Sophia Kenin of the US. Sophia Kenin of the US. She defeated choice 2, Garbin Muguruza. You could write this. 2020 Australian Open. 2020 Australian Open. 2020 Australian Open. Underline that. Women's singles winner. Women's singles winner. Or women's singles, underline that, उसके नीचे लिखे winner Sophia Kenin of US. Sophia Kenin of US. Runner up Garbin Muguruza. Of Spain. Next, men's singles. Underline that. Winner Novak Djokovic. Novak. Novak. Or you could write Novak. Novak Djokovic. DJ OK. Okay, I'll spell this. DJOKOVIC. Djokovic. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, guys. So sorry. I'm getting a little. DJOKONOVIC. Djokovic. DJOKOVIC. There is no NO. I don't know what happened today on this session. Yeah, Novak Djokovic. NOVAK. Novak Djokovic. DJOKOVIC. I have never ever got it incorrect, but I think happens. Novak Djokovic is a winner. He recently was diagnosed with coronavirus. He made a mistake. He organized a tennis tournament, a charity tennis tournament. He got it. I think about 11 persons there in the tournament got this virus, which is sad. Next, runner up. Dominic Thiem. Dominic, DOMINIC. Dominic Thiem. THIEM. Dominic Thiem. Dash Austria, in brackets Austria. 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 I'm still thinking of that Novak Djokovic error. I know. Kitova, Czech Republic. Simona Halep from Romania. Williams from the US. Which of the following institutions has been ranked first in the Nature Ranking Index 2020? What is this index about? You could write this: Nature Ranking Index dash based on or measures. Ranking is based on measures scientific and research output. Measures scientific and research output. So which Indian organization is ranked number 1? The Council for Scientific and Industrial Relations. Council for Scientific and Industrial Relations, Industrial Research. Council for Scientific and Industrial Research. Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, New Delhi. This is number 1. Number 2 is जो bottom से आप 5, 4, 3 हैं, those are the top 3. Number 2 is the Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru. Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru. And the third one is Tata Institute for Fundamental Research. Tata Institute of Fundamental Research. Tata Institute of Fundamental Research. Next. Who among the following is not a recipient of the Padma Vibhushan Award 2020? Padma Vibhushan this year was given to Sushma Swaraj, the late Sushma Swaraj, the late Arun Jaitley, the great boxer Mary Kom, Channulal Mishra. This is Channulal Mishra, as you see him on the screen. He is a Banaras-based Hindustani classical vocalist, and he belongs to the, I think, Kirana Gharana. Yeah, Kirana. And also it was given to George Fernandez, the great trade union leader, socialist leader. He's dead. Okay. There's a lot of story about him, but some other time. PV Sindhu got the Padma Bhushan. Padma Bhushan, not Padma Shri, but Padma Bhushan. She had in the past received Padma Shri, now she has received Padma Bhushan. See, Mary Kom is Manipur, yeah, and she is the only boxer in world boxing history to win a record 8 world championship medals. 8. Can you believe that? She's a 6-time world champion. Born into a very poor family. Her father was a wrestler. I read the story and very inspirational. Yeah. She came back after marriage, children, having kids. They will work extremely hard. They are greatly determined, and that is what we should be inspired by. Okay. India's 4 highest awards are for civilians: Bharat Ratna, Padma Vibhushan, Padma Bhushan, then Padma Shri, in that order. Okay. Who among the following was named Central Bank of the Year 2020 for the Asia Pacific region? Our own Shaktikanta Das, Governor of the RBI. Governor of the RBI. Dr. Das, then Adrian Orr. Look at the choices. Adrian Orr, Governor of New Zealand Central Bank. New Zealand's Central Bank. Okay, Central Bank of New Zealand. Then Veeratai Shanti Prabhu. This is, see this, Shanti Prabhu. This is all Buddhist influence. The guy is Buddhist. This is the Governor of the Bank of Thailand. Bank of Thailand. Bank of Thailand. Central Bank of Thailand. W.D. Lakshman, Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Then Philip Lowe, Reserve Bank of Australia. Reserve Bank of Australia. Reserve Bank of Australia. Who is the Chancellor of the Exchequer in Britain? They don't have a Reserve Bank. They don't directly say Finance Minister or the Central Bank Governor. So you could. There is one Indian of Indian origin, he's a British citizen. This guy is the Chancellor of the Exchequer. Who is the British Prime Minister? Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson is the British Prime Minister. उनके बाद आता है Chancellor of the Exchequer. Write this. Chancellor. CHANCELLOR. Chancellor of the Exchequer. EXCHEQUER. Exchequer, Chancellor of the Exchequer, dash Rishi, Rishi, Rishi Sunak, Sunak, Rishi Sunak, a pretty young chap, very young chap, the second most powerful chap in Britain now. Chancellor of the British Exchequer. So he is also the son-in-law of N.R. Narayan Murthy, the co-founder of Infosys. But that's not a qualification. Okay, just a relationship. But more importantly, the man is highly qualified. Rishi Sunak is highly qualified. Which state and union territory has been selected for the best performance in the implementation of the Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana? You could write this PMGSY dash launched 2000, year 2000, launched year 2000, launched year 2000 to connect or to provide all weather connectivity, all weather road connectivity, all weather road connectivity, all weather road connectivity to unconnected villages, basically habitations. You know, in 2000 we had more than 1.7 lakh habitations without any connection to the nearest place. There were no pakka sadake, kuch nahi thi. So after this scheme came about, a lot of roads, a lot of villages have been connected to the nearest mandi, nearest big town kind of thing. See, this kind of improves livelihoods. You know, better roads mean you take a shorter route, you take a better route. The vehicles require less maintenance. Buses, like personal vehicle, private vehicles, take less time. Buses take less time. Now buses also can come. In the past there were no roads, so buses would not come. So it would be very difficult for poor people, not so well-off people to buy a private vehicle, or use some auto and everything, which was expensive. So, and you know, now the crop can be taken to the nearest mandi, so things become that much easier when there is connectivity. Okay, Jammu and Kashmir, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, there is Lieutenant Governor here. His name is Devendra Kumar Joshi. Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Lieutenant Governor Devendra Kumar Joshi. Oh boy. Devendra Kumar Joshi. Next. Haryana's Chief Minister is Manohar Lal Khattar. You could also write Haryana has a very bad reputation for having the lowest sex ratio among states. Lowest sex ratio among states. Which is sad, very sad. See, when the sex ratio is low, what happens is that it leads to a lot of social tension, lot of unhappiness in the society. Fewer women would mean, see, for all the reasons that men would give, that women, dowry and all that bullshit people talk all the time, please understand, when there are fewer women, it means that a lot of men have to go unmarried. They have to remain unmarried, which also means that these men would give competition to the next group of people who would, next group, say 1,000 people, let's take statistically, the sex ratio is, let's say, about something like, X number, let's say 800. 800 would mean 1,000 men, 800 women. So 800 men get married. What about the 200? Now they will give competition to the other 1,000. Got this? So this leads to a lot of social tensions. This also leads to an increase in crimes against women. Some people might say this doesn't happen that way. It does happen that way. All statistics prove that. So there are some places without women. In fact, there is a movie, there is this documentary called Matrubhumi, a nation without women. If you're in YouTube, please go to YouTube, type in Matrubhumi, a nation without women. You will understand what I'm talking about. So I think we discussed the rest yesterday. National Press Day is observed on 16th November every year because on this day, you could write November 16th, National Press Day, dash, November 16th, dash, on this day, comma, in 1966, comma, the Press Council of India, was established. What about November 14th? You know this as Children's Day, but more importantly, right? World Diabetes Day. World Diabetes, Diabetes. Diabetes. World Diabetes Day. Next, December 1st, World AIDS Day. World AIDS Day. October 24, UN Day. United Nations Day. UN Day. November 11th, National Education Day. National Education Day. National Education Day. Dash, birthday of Maulana Abul Kalam Azad. Maulana Abul Kalam Azad. Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, comma, India's first education minister. India's first education minister. You know, he was a scholar, a religious scholar. That's why the title Maulana. Okay, Azad was his pen name. He was a poet, writer, and he was born on the 11th of November 1888, and he passed away on the 22nd February 1958. Okay, so from here to the next one, which of the following is the first country in the world to introduce the WHO approved typhoid vaccine? Typhoid is a bacterial disease, my friends. Okay, it's a bacterial disease. So it's Pakistan. It is Pakistan. See, Pakistan is notorious for one particular disease, polio. So the world over, there is no polio. In a country like ours, where we have had lakhs of polio cases till a few years back, now does not have any polio cases because of the government of India's, vaccination drive. But in 3 countries, there is polio. Even today, there is polio. 3 countries. What are the 3 countries? Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Nigeria. Nigeria. Pakistan, Afghanistan, Nigeria. Because the terrorist organizations here believe that vaccine is against nature. And the polio vaccine, take for example the polio vaccine, they say that this was created by a Jew, Jew, a Jew named Jonas Salk, Salk. Because it was created by a Jew, it's a Jewish conspiracy. You cannot beat such things, my friends. Anyway, there are a lot of conspiracy theories like this. So there is polio only in 3 countries: Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Nigeria. Okay? Ukraine, right? Ukraine dash capital is Kiev, Kiev, Kiev dash the president is Volodymyr Zelensky, Volodymyr, Volodymyr Zelensky, Zelensky, Volodymyr Zelensky, and the currency is HRYVNIA. Underline Ukraine, pull it down arrow, right? Pull it down arrow, right? Its territory named Crimea, Crimea. Crimea it's called. Its territory name Crimea, Crimea. Crimea has been occupied by Russia, RUSSIA, Russia. WHO we discussed just yesterday, I think, so we'll not go there. Afghanistan's president, what is the capital of Afghanistan? Kabul, 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 and the president is Ashraf Ghani, Ashraf, ASHRAF, Ashraf Ghani, GHANI, Ashraf Ghani. Currency is Afghani. Currency itself is called Afghani. Next, the term ALM used in the banking sector stands for asset and liability mismanagement. Please write this ALM. Fatafat click here, please. You are running short on time. Right. First point: process of managing use of assets and cash flows to reduce a firm's risk, firm's risk of loss from not paying a loan on time. So what is it? It's a process of managing managing use of assets and the cash flow to reduce a firm's risk of loss from not paying a loan on time. Next point: well managed ALM or well managed assets and liabilities. Increase a firm's profits. Okay. So that's why companies typically ensure that they pay the loans on time, so that because once the loan is not paid on time, there are a lot of costs, attendant costs. Default carries a lot of risk. Okay. The International Atomic Energy Agency is headquartered at Vienna, the capital of Austria. You just write one, its CEO's name, Director General's name, right? Director General dash Rafael Grossi, RAFAEL. I repeat, RAFAEL. Rafael Grossi, GROSSI. Rafael Grossi, GROSSI. Rafael Grossi. In brackets, Argentina. He is from Argentina. Next, Paris, France, home to UNESCO. We did mention this yesterday in the previous session. UNESCO. Manila, Philippines, dash, Asian Development Bank, Asian Development Bank, Asian Development Bank, dash, its head is Masatsugu Ayakawa, MASATSUGU, 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 Masatsugu Ayakawa, 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 Masatsugu Ayakawa, Japan. New York, you know, it is the United Nations, so we don't have to discuss. Frankfurt, Germany is home to, what is this place? European Central Bank. Dash. President is Christine Lagarde. Christine, CHRISTINE. Christine Lagarde, LAGARDE, Lagarde. In brackets, France. In March 2020, Muhyiddin Yassin became the Prime Minister of Malaysia. This is the Malaysian Prime Minister. Lebanon we know, Iraq we know, UAE, please write the Prime Minister of UAE. Mohammed bin Rashid, Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, 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 Rashid Al Maktoum. Next, Ethiopia, Ahmed Abi Ali, right, or Abi Ahmed Ali, ABIY, today is not my day, ABIY, Abi Ahmed Ali, 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 ABIY, Abi Ahmed Ali, Prime Minister of Ethiopia. You can underline his name, put it down arrow, right? 2019 Nobel Peace Prize. 2019 Nobel Peace Prize. Next, the second largest shareholder in the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank is India. Largest is China. ये जो top 5 है यही है. But if you want to know the just to give you an idea, the top 3 rank holders, shareholders, China has 3 lakh shares. 3 lakh shares roundabout. Okay, 3 lakh shares. Just write so that you get an idea. China 3 lakh shares. India 86,000 shares. Russia 68,000. Since we mentioned Germany also, South Korea, Germany 47,000 shares. South Korea 40,000. So 3 lakh for China, India 86,000, Russia 68,000, Germany 47,000, South Korea, what is this? 40,000. Yeah. Central Excise Day is observed on 24th Feb. 25th January, National Voters Day. National Voters Day. Because on that day in 1950 the Election Commission of India was set up. Election Commission of India was set up in 1950 on 25th January. March 15th, Consumer Rights Day. World Consumer Rights Day. March 15th, World Consumer Rights Day. April 14th, Prem Divas. This is the birthday of Baba Saheb, Dr. Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar. May 1st, Labor Day, International Labor Day. India's Ministry of External Affairs is headed by Dr. Subramaniam Jaishankar. Dr. Subramaniam Jaishankar is he has a PhD from in international relations from JNU. He was an IFS officer. He retired as India's foreign secretary. Then he joined the Tata Group as the president of its global operations. But then he became, he joined the Modi government, Narendra Modi second government, second stint. He is the foreign affairs minister. He has done a fabulous job. Subramaniam Chandrasekhar, his name is Jaishankar, his papa's name is Subramaniam. He himself is an IAS officer and considered number one, the greatest strategic affairs expert India has produced. Subramaniam. Krishnaswamy Subramaniam. That guy's name is Krishnaswamy Subramaniam, K. Subramaniam. And this is Subramaniam Jaishankar. इनके एक भाई हैं, वो IAS ऑफिसर रह चुके हैं, और दूसरे जो हैं इज अ प्रोफेसर एट यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ कैलिफोर्निया लॉस एंजलिस. अमित शाह होम अफेयर्स मिनिस्टर, होम अफेयर्स. राजनाथ सिंह डिफेंस मिनिस्टर. अर्जुन मुंडा ट्राइबल अफेयर्स. गिरिराज सिंह एनिमल हस्बेंड्री, Dairying, 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 and fisheries, FISHERIES, fisheries. So we got this. Oh, pretty much I think in time. Wonderful. Thanks for being here, guys. And I don't know how that Novak Djokovic skipped. Yeah, NOVAK DJOKOVIC. I know it happens all the time. Thanks for being here. Have a lot of fun. Please share your feedback on this session. Thank you so much, my friends. Stay curious.